Welcome everyone. So glad you're here to join us. Talk a little bit about multi-channel experiences. I want to give you some of my thoughts, some of what I've seen work for my clients, some challenges that we've talked through. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is going to be a real quick one today, but I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So let's just jump right in. Let's not waste any time. All right, so let's talk about it. Multi-channel, it's a paradox, right? We've talked about this for so long. I know you're all out there trying to be like, how can we get this done right? 80% of businesses think we're delivering a great experience, but only 8% of customers agree. When I found this statistic preparing for today, I was blown away. The bottom line here is it's not about more channels. What we really need to be thinking about as marketers is coherent architecture. And we're going to go into what does that really mean, because I think there's so much to explore. Only got 20 minutes today, and I want you to walk away with some really actionable insights. But I think it's so important to drive home that you are not the only one struggling with this. We are all struggling with this. How we have so many channels now, more than ever. How do we create experiences that are consistent and coherent? And is there a mindset shift we all need to make? And I'm going to challenge you today to think about that a little bit differently, because I do think we have a mindset shift here that I want us to consider as we go forward. So let's talk about where is the multi-channel breaking? Right now, we have some really key factors that have kind of come into this perfect storm where technology and expectation are mismatching. We have a content velocity problem. This is so critical for us to remember as we're creating content and delivering content. Our teams are working at a human speed, but customers are expecting a machine speed, right? When we're out there in the digital landscape, we're interacting with ChatGPT and getting answers in seconds. We are Google searching. We are expecting delivered, personalized experiences delivered on the fly. But our teams are human and we're working at a human speed. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can solve for some of that today. A personalization and privacy collision, right? We're seeing cookies are going away, but expectations are rising. So how do we bridge that gap? As marketers, how do we consistently deliver those high, very tailored experiences based on the data that we have and that we continue to have access to? Then finally, there's this integration debt crisis. We have all seen the MarTech map. I don't even know how many logos are on that map now. I'm not even going to go there. But we're seeing that we have so many integrations, so many MarTech platforms, that every new connection now becomes a customization and something that we have to maintain. And that's just becoming too burdensome. We don't have time for it. We don't have budget for it. So we're really in this crisis point right now. And I think what you're going to see in the next 15, 20 minutes is how can we overcome some of those challenges? And it's going to be a really great topic. So I'm glad you're all here. So let's talk about content velocity, creating once, but deploying everywhere. You know, research is showing us that 90% of customers are expecting consistent experiences, but most companies can't deliver because the content workflow is simply not built for that. So I want to tell a little bit of a story here around a client that I worked with or continue to work with, that they were able to create copy once, content once, but then deploy it across 12 global sites. And we were able to cut that time down from days into minutes. How did we do that? We were really looking at what can we do with technology? How can we apply it to take this one piece of content and be able to really push it out everywhere and have it be consistent platform to platform. And part of that piece, that puzzle piece there from a technology standpoint, was an API first design. So we wanted to make sure that the brand looked sharp every time, was translated correctly, and was really resonating with the user in multi-markets. So how can we get started with this today? We want to talk about setting up a universal content template. So one layout that can really work for multi-channels, different channels, a layout that works on your website, works in your mobile app, can work in a social setting when it comes to Facebook, X, any of the other platforms that we're looking at. And I think what's so great here and what we were able to really make use of is Sitefinity's hybrid headless CMS, which can make this magic happen with a flexible data provider setup. So we are able to integrate these different platforms and understand how they work together so that that piece was delivered consistently end to end, no matter where our user was interacting. Let's talk a little bit about privacy versus personalization. If you've ever heard me talk before, if you've joined one of my webinars before, you've heard me say we need to personalize without being creepy, right? Only 47% of customers trust online services with their personal data. That's pretty shocking when you think about how often we interact online and how much data we are giving up. To know that less than half kind of trust us with their personal data is pretty shocking. But the thing that really kind of pushes us even more into confusion land is that Salesforce recently did a study that found that 81% of customers expect faster service and 73% expect better personalization, yet they're not trusting us with our personal data. And this is the collision that we are trying to solve for. And how do we solve for that? Before we even get into that, I want to talk about why is it important we solve for that? Because what we see is, yes, we have this customer expectation. And when I talk with my clients about this, a lot of times we talk about, how can we do this? They don't want to give up data. Maybe they don't want to fill out forms, or it's a little too cumbersome. But I want us to all think about the flip side of this and what else the data has shown us. And that is that customers who've seen their data treated wisely have been delivered personalized experiences that actually resonate with them. It builds brand loyalty. They're more likely to engage with you. They're more likely to convert because they see that you're treating their data with respect. They see that you understand their needs. And what that does is it starts to build trust and break down some of those walls. So how do we deliver this type of experience? We know that personalized campaigns can boost conversions significantly. So what do we need to get there? Well, we need dynamic content that's going to shift based on who's visiting and what they've done before. But in the past, we've relied a lot on third-party cookies to deliver the type of data that we might need to deliver these experiences, right? We can't just come up with things. We have to know, what is this person interested in? What have they done before? Where have they been on the web? But a lot of these third-party cookies now are disappearing. So we need to shift our approach from a third party first to a first party first. And this is a strategy that I work through with a lot of my clients. Where can we get more first party data, and what does that look like so that we're able to continue to market on those data points? So how can we do this today? A quick win here is about starting simple, showing returning visitors different messaging than our first-time visitors this week. That is a great starting point. And I don't want you to overlook that, because I think, we think of personalization as this big, encompassing thing that we have to have so many different platforms for. We need to have all these data points. And if we can't do it like Netflix, then we just can't do it at all. No. We need to think about it on a small scale, pilot some things, test, and then expand those efforts based on what we see has worked. So starting with custom messaging to a returning visitor is a great place to start, and I don't want you to overlook that. A first-time visitor that's browsing the pricing page, they come back, maybe we show them a Get Started CTA. A returning visitor who's downloaded those resources, has shown us higher intent, maybe they get a Talk to Sales CTA. This could even be the same person in different context with a different experience as they move through the funnel. We want to tailor experiences, not just for intent, but also where are they at in the funnel? Are we able to have different CTAs with different outcomes because we know they're ready for the next step and we want to encourage them to take that? Something that's great here that I found is Sitefinity's AI-driven personalization. Through Sitefinity Insight, you're able to track behavior and to deliver that right content automatically. And that is driven by AI and machine learning. And it also helps us understand how our content performs. With Insight, we're able to see things like, what is the uplift? If this person interacts with this piece of content, what are the odds that they're going to convert at our chosen conversion point? These are the types of data points that are already baked in that we can make use of today. But if you're not quite there yet, I would say starting with a different offering for a returning visitor is a great place to start. Let's talk through a little bit of that integration chaos piece, because I know we all have MarTech stacks that sometimes start to look like Frankenstein. We have a little bit of this over here, a little bit of that. We have that platform that does some things, but not all things. And then we have another platform, it's so common that I want you to know that 40% of companies admit their channels can't even see each other. They're not talking to each other. We have data in different silos, and it becomes, how do we unify this data? And if we can't unify it through technology, how can we at least extract it and get the insight out of it? And that's when we really start to think through, we need a technology platform that can do this for us. Remember in the beginning, I said that we work at human speed, but customers expect the speed of technology. They expect robot speed. So gone are the days where we're able to export reports and comb through data and try to come up with the answers and the insights out of that data. By the time you're done that work, your window has closed, and I know you all feel that. So I think it's interesting to think about, okay, this is a great entry point into where we're able to use technology and AI to help mitigate some of this problem. Disconnected tools equal missed opportunities. So connecting our DXP with the CRM, with an ERP system, is going to eliminate a lot of those data silos. I think what we have the opportunity for here is we can earn trust through delivering experiences that are personalized, customized, faster. We can streamline workflows for our internal teams, and we really can work with our users and work with those prospects to nurture them through the process at every different touch point. So they're not just getting an email from the CRM, but then seeing the generic messaging on the website. We're able to pull this all together. And I think here too, we want to talk about scalable automation for personalized campaigns, because as I mentioned before, with personalization on the web front, we want something that's scalable. It has to be achievable. At the end of the day, if we can't support this with our humans, then we really can't provide anything that's going to make an impact. So what's the quick win out of this one? The quick win out of this one is going to be mapping that customer journey and all the different data touch points. And I'm sure some of you just thought, oh my gosh, where do I even start with that? It's not as hard as you think. It's an exercise I've walked my clients through a million times. We really just need to get an idea, a view into what is the experience like at every single touch point, and then what can we control within those touch points. So we need to identify where data gets stuck, so that we can start to pull that data out, access it, and use it. We'll be able to show that too when it comes to what are the connectors that we have so that we can eliminate that friction. Is it that the data is stuck in the CRM? Is it that it's stuck in the ERP? Is it that it's stuck within, separate houses in our core systems that we need to be able to access the data, but still keep it anonymized for privacy concerns? These are all issues that we've worked through with clients time and time again. And so I'll tell you, they're not new problems, but they are significant problems that we are able to help you through the process to deliver these types of experiences. From the CMS and DXP standpoint, Sitefinity has an API first architecture, which is great because it allows the platform to play nice with CRMs, ERPs, other marketing tools, and they've already got those pre-built low-code connectors included. So as I touched on earlier, I had a client once say to me that code we don't write is code we don't have to maintain. And that stuck in my head forever because I thought, boy, is that not the truth, right? If we're writing custom code, that is custom code we're going to have to continue to maintain, monitor. Whereas with the API first architecture, we have that code pre-built and it's very low code. So we're able to just spin those systems up very quickly and start getting these systems to talk to each other, to empower our marketing teams to be able to craft these experiences that are really going to have an impact. So my challenge to everyone today is to stop thinking about this as a multi-channel experience and instead start thinking about it as coherent experience architecture. And I want to really stop there for a moment because we have talked about this. This has been a consistent, topic in the industry, especially for marketers as things continue to get tighter, as technology improves daily, as with the introduction of AI, kind of bringing our tailored experiences to the next level. When we've always thought about it as, how do I market on the multi-channel? How do I have a great multi-channel experience, or omni-channel experience, if you remember that term as well, that buzzword. And I think we've always sort of seen it through this like myopic lens, right? A little bit of tunnel vision of, these are my channels and I need to market to them, and how do I deliver this experience through these channels? I'd like us to step back, step out of it, and start thinking about it more in terms of coherent experience architecture. So what does that mean? That means the 3 C's. An experience that's coherent, contextual, and composable. So we want to think about content that adapts across the channels while maintaining our brand integrity. How do we achieve that? Through shared content libraries and localization. Contextual experiences that shift based on situations, not just demographics, which is a lot of times what we were personalizing for, but situationally. I recently had a conversation with a client and we were talking about looking at personalizing based on need and demographic combined. So looking at behavioral data plus demographic, because someone who is buying the house in their 30s has a different content need, maybe if they're a first-time home buyer, versus someone who's buying a retirement home and is in their 60s and has a different content need there, maybe is more educated, or has just simply different life factors that they're looking at when it comes to adopting a new loan. So I want you to think about contextual. So experiences shifting on situation, but not just demographic. And that's something that we can power through Sitefinity's Insight AI or behavioral targeting. And also using AI within our data sets to identify where are those overlaps, where can we couple these 2 pieces of information together to understand our customers on a deeper level and what their deeper needs are. Finally, I want to talk about composable. So thinking about your tech stack and having it evolve without breaking those experiences. So this is when we start talking about, the fun, nerdy stuff of hybrid headless architecture and Connect platform, bringing these platforms in together to play together nicely. And that's where it really comes together when we talk about coherent experience architecture, because we don't want to think about it in terms of, I want to market on these channels. I want you to think about it in terms of, what experience am I creating and how is that going to be coherent no matter where my user is experiencing it? So I want to underline that, because I think it's a subtle shift, but it's an important one. What experience are we looking to create, and how do we make that coherent no matter where someone is experiencing it? And if we can really drill down on that and nail what that looks like to us, and it's going to be different for every organization. It's going to be different depending on the channels. It's going to be different depending on what your brand values are, what your organizational goals are. If we can really hone in on that and think about it through that lens, I think we have an opportunity to create experiences that are really going to impact our customers in a positive way. Ultimately, what we'll be able to create is that smooth omni-channel experience delivering on customer satisfaction. Disconnected experiences do not satisfy customers. That's what we're seeing a lot today in that collision. But if we can think about it a little bit higher level and based on what we're trying to achieve from an experience, then the execution of it becomes a lot easier, and we can really talk through what does that look like. So what do I want you to take away today? What this means for you, the market reality really is that collision, right? Customers are expecting seamless experiences. Companies are not delivering them. How do we solve for that collision? The opportunity here is the gap between expectation and reality. That is your competitive advantage, because as I talked about earlier, this is not a you problem. This is an all of us problem. So how can we get ahead of it and think about it differently so that we can deliver on experiences that our competitors maybe haven't gotten there yet? The solution really is about that mindset shift into coherent architecture and platforms that let us adapt faster as those expectations change. And that's where a platform like Sitefinity can really accelerate those experiences. But the bottom line is 2025 going into 2026, multi-channel is here, it's table stakes, but the winners are going to be the ones who can make it coherent. I love talking about this topic. I would love to continue talking with you about this topic and your specific challenges, guide you through some of this and some strategies that we've seen work for our clients. So follow up with me. I would love to schedule a one-on-one with you to chat a little bit more about it, or just connect with me on LinkedIn and we can message some there too, or shoot me an email. I've also got a form there for SilverTech because, hey, we like first-party data too. So you can submit that and get in touch that way. But thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you found a lot of value in this, and I look forward to hearing from you.